Hello there, and welcome to today's webcast, How the State of Arizona is Saving Millions, Boosting Productivity and Engaging Remote Workers. I'm Otto Dahl, Senior Fellow here at the Center for Digital Government, and I'm excited to serve as host for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. We're going to have a great session over the next 30 minutes. We have a few housekeeping notes for you up on the screen. Also, during today's webcast, you'll be able to connect with your peers via LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. For those of you on Twitter, please use hashtag GovTechLive to share key takeaways, quotes, and learnings from today's webcast. Joining me today to discuss this timely topic are Doug Lang, State Chief Strategy Officer, Arizona Department of Administration Technology, and Heather Sheston, Client Partner Executive with SADA.
Thanks, Otto. And thanks, Doug. Thanks, Doug, for jumping on here with me today. I'm super excited to have been so intimately involved with the State of Arizona project and really looking forward to talking with you today about how you've continued your ongoing adoption and what that is looking like for the state of Arizona today. So first, a little bit of history for those that don't know. You guys decided to make the migration over to the G Suite platform nearly 3 years ago. So if I'm correct, I think you guys have migrated like 90 plus agencies and nearly 40,000 users onto the platform. Can you tell us a little bit about what prompted your move to G Suite? What did the project look like? And what are some of the benefits that you guys have been seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. 3 years, as you mentioned, a lot of agencies, a lot of mailboxes. This was a huge lift for the state. And I think for us, it comes back to really, how do we run the state at the speed of business? And how do we take an enterprise approach in anything that we're trying to do from a technology perspective. And I think this is a great example in terms of initiative of how we were able to do that and how we're able to carry it forward. So, some of the benefits that we were really looking to achieve with this was, first taking an enterprise approach to how we communicate as a state, finding better ways to promote collaboration, and scale and optimization. How do we approach the state's technology footprint as one multifaceted enterprise organization?
Awesome. I think one of the things that we see over at SADA when we engage with our customers that are going to migrate onto G Suite is they start with mail, calendar, and contacts. And although you guys started there, your intent was never to stop with mail, calendar, and contacts. You were going to continue the investment with G Suite, continue the ongoing adoption of the additional applications in the platform. So tell us about how you guys are continuing to invest in G Suite and grow the adoption throughout the state of Arizona.
Yeah, and I think that's a great question and call out. Email and calendar was just the beginning for us, and we're still just getting started, 3 years into this journey. Our ongoing adoption strategy really revolves around three key areas. So first, how do we increase the general adoption across all G Suite products? So, we paid for the entire G Suite. We're making an investment in G Suite. How do we leverage the entire platform and everything that comes with it? Reducing duplicative licensing. Where are we leveraging redundant technologies? Where does it make the most sense to take an enterprise approach with those technologies? Lastly, and most important, increasing customer satisfaction. How do we ensure we are continuing to put our users' needs first?
Great. I love those. So I'm going to ask you if we can dig into those just a little bit. So when you're talking about increasing the general adoption across those core G Suite products, what are the specific things that you guys are doing to continue that adoption?
Yeah, so for us, it starts with a significant focus on knowledge and education, right? If we're going to expect our users to understand, embrace, and leverage the technology, we need to arm them with the right information and tools to really feel comfortable with it. So, one thing that we're really focusing on, instructor-led training sessions. So We're running sessions, and whether the state of Arizona is putting them on or our partner SADA is putting them on, we're taking a very focused approach to getting in front of as many users as we can. So, each session is roughly 60 to 90 minutes, and I'll give you some context here. So when we started this back in February, across the state as a whole, we had roughly 13 attendees total for the entire month. Fast forward, 6 to 8 months, we have over 7,000 people that have went through the training. And that's huge for us. That's over 20% of the state has now went through this training and is armed with skills and knowledge that they didn't have before when it comes to G Suite. For people that aren't so comfortable in that environment, we've developed a Google Guru program, and what that's all about is creating an online platform. It's self-paced learning. It's about 8-week course roughly, and the idea is this isn't a one-size-fits-all. So if people aren't comfortable with instructor-led training, they have another option. They can get in that 8-week course. We've piloted that. We've had over 100 people come through it. Our success rate is roughly 90%, which is actually a good thing, right? The goal isn't to get 100% pass rate. The goal is to make it impactful. The goal is to really challenge people to make sure that they understand the information and then get them through the training courses. So what we've been able to see with this, some really cool adoption metrics. So since we've launched this, every product in G Suite has seen at least a 10% increase or higher since March. And when you're looking at our G Suite portfolio as a whole, that number goes up to 20-30% increase in terms of just people getting in, using the application, and really getting comfortable with it. And for us, that's what it's all about, because the more that they use it, the more they're going to get comfortable, the more it's going to become part of their daily habits. And that's ultimately what we're striving for.
Right. I think a piece I loved when we were partnering with you guys on this particularly too is, one, it uses Google Classroom, which is one of the G Suite apps. So it actually forces them to get in there and use one of those applications. But also, building out the training, we worked with you guys to put together quizzes for those trainings. So it's not your typical training where you tune in and tune out, right? Like the end users are actually going through the training, and then afterwards there's that interactive piece of taking a quiz, ensuring that they understood the application, and helping them understand how to use it in their day-to-day life. So I love to use that as an example for our other customers, because I think it's just such a great use case for all of the G Suite applications, including Google Classroom, which is super cool.
Absolutely. And I think engagement's key.
Yeah, totally. So the next piece that I think is really interesting that you guys are doing is reducing those duplicative and redundant licenses and technologies throughout the state. Can you tell us more specifically what it is that you guys are doing and what that's looking like for you?
Yeah, so, if we're starting with just trying to figure out how do we raise G Suite adoption as a whole, this one's a little more specific. This one's about identifying areas where we can really make an impact. So, where do we use redundant technologies? Where can we focus on, finding the most impactful things that we're currently struggling with? Focus on them one at a time, go really deep, drive adoption towards the product that we're already investing in when it comes to G Suite, and see where we come out on the other end. I'll give you an example, video conferencing. So there are many great video conferencing platforms out there. And for us, it's not about that. It's the fact that we really want to invest in an enterprise approach. We're getting video conferencing tools with G Suite, and we want to leverage them. Well, over the course of the year, we were able to reduce duplicative licensing and really drive people towards the adoption, of G Suite's tool to the point where we're now going to save as a state $750,000 a year. That's a big win in state government.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I like to use you guys as examples with not just our other public sector customers, but our private sector customers too. Because I think while you guys have seen amazing cost reductions, I think we see a lot of, or we hear a lot from people on like app exhaustion. So they've got access to all these apps, They don't know why they have access to all of these apps. And so I think condensing that into like one solid location where they can go to, I mean, they have G Suite, they have all of these things available to them. So they can reduce costs while also helping their end users make the most out of the tools that they have, which helps them, I think, increase that collaboration across their entities. So it's awesome. And I love using you guys as an example for that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're investing in, a cloud-based collaborative or collaboration and productivity suite, that's the goal, right? You're trying to get as many things in one place as possible so you can leverage that launching pad and make it easier for your users to navigate the tools that they're going to use on a daily basis.
Yep, totally. So the last thing that you talked about was increasing customer satisfaction by putting your end users first. When we talk about these major changes, the first thing that we always talk about is the people, right? The people will make or break these changes, and the people will help you understand how to better make these changes or maybe shift and navigate those changes as you're going through that. Can you tell us about how you guys are working to increase the customer satisfaction in Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a very real business component to why we made this transition. There's obviously the technology benefits that we've been able to see. But at the end of the day, make no mistake about it. It's all about our people. When you hear the phrase people, process, technology, there's a reason that people are first in that equation. And in anything that we're trying to do, we really want to focus on customer satisfaction. And that's not something that is just going to be accomplished through the state trying to get it done, right? This really takes a village. So we have Google invested in this. We have our partner, SADA, invested in this. We have the state of Arizona invested in this. And at every level, we're meeting users where they're at. We're just trying to figure out what's working for them. Where are they struggling? Where do they simply need more information? So we can remove those roadblocks. And I think, whether you're talking about quarterly business reviews, whether you're talking about regular syncs just working through trouble tickets, whether you're talking about hosting different events just to get feedback and understand what people are excited about, we're always going to put the focus on change management and making sure, if we're 3 out of 5 last week, our goal is to get to 4 out of 5 next week, right? We want to continue to find ways to put smiles on the faces of our users and hopefully make their work lives a little bit easier. One thing I will call out, so as you mentioned to kick off, we're talking 90 agencies, almost 40,000 users. We need to find communication vehicles that scale. So something that's worked out really well for us to kind of fold all of this together, a monthly newsletter. It's not only focusing on, success stories and case studies, but G Suite's evolving. It's evolving constantly. So, we're highlighting where are the features and functionalities that they need to see, what's upcoming, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe a quarter from now that they need to know and that is going to really benefit them and impact how they do their job. So we've had a lot of success with it. We're constantly measuring very simple things like click rate just to find out what's making sense. But we're never going to stop investing in finding ways to reach our user.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I don't think it could be any more relevant than it is right now, given the time and the nature of 2020. And so I feel like we would be a little bit remiss if we didn't talk about our current environment. So you're talking about the people, you're talking about major changes, and post-COVID, I think we're looking at major changes to our workforce. I found this really interesting statistic the other day that U.S. workers who work from home multiple days a week prior to COVID was around 3.6%. Post-COVID, those numbers jumped to 25 to 30% of those workers shifting to multiple days at home during the week. I know working closely with you guys made a major shift to a remote workforce. And we worked with you guys to help put together, trainings and those newsletters. And I think it was so amazing to work with you guys and see how seamlessly you were able to make that shift to a remote workforce. And I would love to hear more about it from your perspective, how that went, how things are going, and how G Suite has helped you guys with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you never want this to be the reason that it's going to inform some of the decisions that you're making when it comes to the technologies you use. But I'll give you a simple stat from the agency that I work in. Pre-pandemic, almost 100% of our workforce worked on-site, on-prem. Through the use of G Suite and really having that cloud-based productivity suite already deployed, within 2 weeks of the pandemic hitting, over 90% of our agency was already working remote. In government, that's moving fast. That's moving really fast. And I think, what it's done is it's also forced people to really get into G Suite and understand, what are the real benefits of having a, productivity suite and a collaboration tool that really allows them to work from home and still get a similar experience to be able to, I can ping the person that used to sit at the desk right next to me, but they're sitting at their house and I'm sitting at my house, right? And I think we've been able to just continue to find more and more ways to leverage the platform and everything that comes with it to enable us to respond to the pandemic, not skip a beat in terms of the services that we're providing the citizens of Arizona. And really it's from a business operations standpoint, we're moving just how we were 6 months ago, 12 months ago. And whatever we shift to in terms of, our new normal, which is the phrase that's being thrown around, I think this is going to force government to look at, flexible work schedules or locations differently. And, having G Suite in place for the state of Arizona is going to be a huge part of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's been amazing to work with you guys, and it's been really interesting to see when we are working with our customers alongside Arizona, the difference in the conversations that we're having. So when we are working with you guys, it's very much a reminder or a quick note to folks about what they have. It's not on the other side with some of our customers where we're really quickly trying to help them shift to remote work, where they're able to access anything from anywhere. They can collaborate when they're not right next to the person physically, and then maintain that continuity of business. You guys were already prepared for this unknowingly. And it's really interesting to see how we're able to have those conversations and make that shift with you guys where it looks very different to the customers that did not previously had G Suite and were looking to make that transition to remote workforce. So super cool to see that with you guys. Really excited about how seamless that transition was for you guys and how you are continuing to make that adoption. I have personally enjoyed on the continuation of the adoption to be able to see those kind of what I would consider more tougher use cases that we're able to build out and make improvements to those workflows using G Suite. And I'm just excited to see where this journey continues to.
Absolutely. I am as well. This is just the beginning. As I mentioned, we're just getting started. The whole intent in our investment in the cloud as a whole, right? And not just in G Suite, but in all the technologies is, when we talk about running the state as an enterprise, we're trying to bring an approach that allows any organization to scale. And whether that's government or private sector, the foundational components are going to be the same, and we're going to continue to transform and find ways to optimize our business and what we do within the agencies within the state of Arizona.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for coming on here with me today. I really appreciate you sharing your time and your story and all the cool things that Arizona is doing. And I'm extremely honored to be able to continue on this journey with you guys.
Yeah,
I think we have a little bit of time for Q&A, so I'm going to hand it back over to Otto if he's got any questions for you.
Great, Heather. And Doug, what a great story. It's really nice to see a government that can act quickly and appropriately for situations. We always, unfortunately, have some challenges that get presented to us, some major challenges. And it's great to see that Arizona has a good posture to be able to respond effectively, in this case with IT and technology coming to the fore. Remind the audience that now we're going to be in a Q&A session. And if you would submit your questions through the Q&A panel that you'll find at the bottom left of your screen, I'll get Doug and Heather to respond to what you're asking. And I see one here from an audience member, and they're asking about, and really this is for Doug, law enforcement, corrections, parole and probation agencies, are they on G Suite? And if they are, then how are you dealing with the CJIS security requirements for using G Suite?
Great question. So, I think the way that I would answer it is some of the agencies associated are absolutely on G Suite, such as corrections. We have others that are focused heavily within CJIS, and we're taking our time with that. We're still working through the requirements. We are making sure that they are comfortable with what G Suite is going to provide them. And we're doing that through a partnership with Google and SADA. And ultimately, when we hit a point where the state of Arizona is comfortable with that, the people that are touching CJIS related data will also be migrated onto the platform.
Okay. I got another question here. I think really both of you can respond to this one. An audience member wants you to really repeat what you were saying about where you saved money through implementation of the G Suite. And so I think, Doug, obviously you can talk from your world. Heather, maybe you can talk from what you guys see from your clients and even from prospects and what they are perceiving are their saving points.
Sure, I can start. I think, the one that I hit on first and foremost for us was really hitting on video conferencing. And I think whenever you're talking about savings and you're going past just apples and apples in terms of what you're going to pay in a per seat, licensing basis for G Suite versus anything else that you're using, it really becomes about reducing duplicative licensing, as I mentioned earlier. So, when it comes to a productivity suite, there's just so many tools out there, and there is a lot of great tools. But I think what you need to do as an organization, if you're going to take that enterprise approach, is really start to hone in and target the ones that you want to consolidate, that you want your organization, all being on the same technologies. And so whereas video conferencing was the first one that we targeted and that we went at, that was just the beginning. So, $750,000 annually for the state in that. We're going to move past that, and we're just going to continue to find different things in our portfolio that we can target and focus back towards G Suite.
Yeah, and piggybacking off of that, not just seeing the video conferencing piece, which Arizona has done and some of our other customers have done as well. We've also seen cost savings from a storage perspective. So, with the G Suite licenses, the customers get unlimited drive storage. So we see a lot of customers that migrate onto the platform and immediately start moving over, those personal drives, shared network drives, anything outside of those that they're having any type of storage at all that can be moved onto G Suite's drive. We will work with them on that. We also have, IAM services. So if they're paying for any other IAM services that they could potentially just be using G Suite for, there's definitely that. We've also seen a lot of cost savings outside of just the G Suite platform, but GCP as well. So any workflows that are in any other cloud providers, they would move over to GCP. So I think it's more, and we're working with Arizona in the same respect as well to kind of do the discovery on what it is that they have in their environment and where we can potentially move that stuff or start utilizing applications within G Suite to help them save some money, increase collaboration, whatever it is that their goal is.
Great. I got a question here about performance metrics. We're all interested in how can we evaluate the benefits of remote working. Doug, we'll start. What do you guys look at to help determine the benefits that you're receiving?
I think for us right now, this is about our people, and this is about safety, to be completely candid with you. So this is less about performance in terms of the environment we're in. This is more about our people and making sure that them and their families are safe in what we're going through. But the state of Arizona measures everything. So we have a system that's deployed called the Arizona Management System. It's based on lean principles. We are constantly measuring lead measures, lag measures, but ultimately, I think, and this is key, and this is key in a remote workforce, it's about outcomes, and that hasn't changed for the state of Arizona. So, where we're trying to shift our mentality is, it's less about seeing you at your desk from 9 to 5. It's more about, what are your weekly goals? What are your quarterly goals? What are your organization's goals? Are we meeting those goals? Are we delivering on time? Do we feel like we're efficiently working through the initiatives and the challenges that go along with it? And are we staying on course in terms of our overall strategy?
And I think too, this isn't necessarily a performance metric, but I remember the state of Arizona in the newsletter that Doug was previously talking about. They did a lot of really awesome use case videos or stories that were write-ups on, particular things outside of cost savings, but time savings, ease of collaboration, utilizing new technologies for tools, making it easier for constituents to engage with those agencies. So I don't think it was just so much like about performance per se, but more of how they are getting, that ROI holistically from the tool, not just a cost savings, but time savings and things like that. So there's been a lot of really awesome use cases that they've been able to hone in on and share that with the other end users to hopefully get them to start thinking about that, how they can use the tools and continue that adoption as well.
Yeah, cool. Got a question here. Having been through this magnitude of change, got an audience member asking, what would you do differently now that you've experienced it?
That's a great question. Take 4 years to get it done instead of 3 years. No. I think it comes down to, I don't know that we would have necessarily done anything differently. I mean, we really took a top-down approach in sense of we had top-down leadership support throughout, which was huge. We had a very pragmatic approach to how we, went through our deployment schedule and enrolled in agencies. We had a full governance model in place in terms of just being transparent and holding ourselves accountable and making sure the decision makers understood not only the timeline, but the budget and the impacts associated with it. I think if anything, from a state perspective, the thing that we were very cautious with were our users and that change management element of just making sure we were moving forward at the right speed. And, I'm sure there are things that you can always do better when it comes to change management. I'm sure there are things that you can always do better in terms of, are you deploying your knowledge and education in the right ways? But I got to tell you, we chose the right partner for us in SADA, who has been with us since day one. And we absolutely chose the right partner in Google in terms of what the organization has brought to the state since the very initial planning phases of this. And our, both organizations are still with us 3 years later, helping us drive adoption and figure out how do we push the envelope and just continue to evolve.
Yeah. Well, I want to be respectful of our time commitment today, so we're going to have to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to thank Doug and Heather for sharing their insights on this important topic. And I also want to thank SADA for sponsoring this discussion today. And I would also like to thank our audience for spending their time with us today. And we hope to see you all soon on another government technology event. Take care, everyone, and stay safe.